Well, good morning, Rye Guy here. It is day 2 of the Guys Weekend Run. This is the Saturday that we went out. And, Friday night was a good run. And if you missed that video, I will have that posted in the description so you can see. We took the same route in, and you're going to see here in a second a split screen. Just to show you how different stuff looks like at night versus at day. That's the same trail, roughly around the same spot you're seeing. So yeah, I'm always, I guess, impressed at how different things can look from one season to the next, from light to dark, that kind of thing. You can do the trail you've known for years in the daytime, and then all of a sudden go do the trail at night, and it looks like a different trail altogether.
Why does it always rain when we do this?
Yeah, if you've watched my other Rye Guy videos where it's the Guys Weekend, history kind of repeats itself almost every time we've done it. I think there's only been 1 or 2 years we've actually had clear, sunny weather, but it doesn't matter. It's that time of year, mid to late October, and it's hard to predict the weather, so you take what you get, I guess, or yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. So this area here, I don't know if it's the ATV club or the snowmobile club who kind of owns that little loading ramp there, but I think it's part of the snowmobile club, because they are the ones who mostly maintain a lot of the trails around this area here. I can't remember what zone we're actually in. Yeah, just checking out the heated grips. I cranked them up one more notch. Of course, I parked in a puddle. But yeah, we kind of stopped right around this corner. Don't know what river this was. I didn't bother to check my GPS, but yeah, cold water this time of year. It's October 19th, I think that was. And as you can tell by some of the trail conditions, it did rain quite a bit, so there were parts of the trail that were fairly saturated. But because we had, I guess, I'm not going to say a dry summer, but it was a decently dry summer, that still the base of most of these trails stays pretty hard. Even with all this ATV and truck trailer type of traffic on it all the time. And I don't know, you just noticed me, I got myself a couple times in the face with muddy water. I don't know if it's the square profile, the way that the fenders are cut on this ATV. I actually found the splash protection worse on the Grizzly 700 than I did on my 660. This was a nice bit of section here. We actually stopped for a little bit here for some photo ops and just a general break. I don't know how many kilometers we put on at that time, but anyway, it's a nice area to stop. The trails are pretty quiet on that day. We really didn't run into many other ATVers or dirt bikes or anything like that at all. Actually, I haven't seen a dirt bike on the trail in a while.
It's funny, they closed down that other bridge because there's a tree branch through a board, and now everybody's driving through the river. So it's just throwing through the wood on top of it. Mark, you want to get a couple bits? Did I get out of the way to get the north and the back? Yeah, we all got to get out of the way.
this was a narrow little bridge. I'm gonna tell you, there's not too many side-by-sides out there that are gonna fit across this thing. Even the width of this Grizzly 700, you can see I can fill out the whole width of the bottom end of that bridge. Was a slight misdirection. We went the wrong way there, but anyway, didn't get too far. That would actually make a nice little either hunting or camping spot. Kind of a little open clearing like that off the main trail. Down into a hole there. Getting off into some of these secondary trails, you can definitely tell that the area is a bit more swampy and muddy than what we were used to driving, but I love it. I really can't push the bike still. I'm rolling up to 20 hours now. And as mentioned before in that previous video, I did take the bike into Liberty CC to have the first service done to it, and they did adjust the valves. And when I asked them about it, they said there was no real change within the valves. But you know, 20 hours on an engine typically is when something's going to start to either loosen up or tighten up or whatever. Anyway, I'll maybe take the initiative and at 50 hours instead of the 150 I think the manual's calling for, to actually go in and redo the valves myself. I don't know how much you can hear that belt whine. I actually got the headphones on right now just when I'm recording these voiceovers, but that belt whine's quite pronounced, and maybe it was because I had the 660 snorkeled, but this Grizzly 700 definitely has more of a pronounced whine when you're off the throttle coming down an upper hill, like that belt's starting to grab and slow you down. Not that it bothers me that much, but yeah, this is another situation. I look back, there's nobody there. One of the riders actually had his muffler just disconnect. Actually, I think
Exhaust fell off?
Looking at it before, it looked like it broke before and then it was re-welded. Well, anyway, that weld around where the main pipe going into the muffler can itself, it actually broke again in almost a clean break. So, some wire tie and whatever else that they found at the time, and just kind of stuck things back together. It was a little bit loud riding behind them, but other than that, it was alright. We still managed to go on, press on with the run. Some of these trail systems I've yet to do up until this day, so I was familiar that there was a lot of bridges and kind of streams and brook areas down this way, but I've never actually gone ahead to go down that route before. Now this is pretty interesting. This is a, we were headed into a camp that one of the other riders knew where it was at. And I'm not going to divulge any of the GPS information out of respect for the camp owner. But what an awesome little spot. It's kind of like a, well, you'll see it in a minute actually when we get to the end of this trail. On the side of the camp, it actually has a sign that says Scott Lease and then a number next to it, which would have been Scott Paper, landowner lease number, whatever it was. So it's obviously on, you know, Scott Paper's land, but it seems to be used quite often. And that's a good thing. You don't, I find, especially where I used to do a lot of growing up and kind of doing like ATVing and dirt biking when I was young in the upper Kodiak area of Nova Scotia, that if you have a camp like that, you don't lock the doors, because even though there's nothing in the camp for people to steal, people just want to get in and see what they could possibly steal, I guess, or just to cause trouble. So a lot of the camps were not locked. This door was locked, but it looked like there were people going in and out of there quite at a consistent rate, so. Hunting blind. I keep going back to look at the footage here, because when I got to the camp, I didn't record me fixing it, but I had rolled the front left tire off the rim somewhere, and like hell I could get air in it to actually stay in the tire, because when the bead broke, a bunch of small rocks and pebbles and dirt and whatever and mud got jammed in between the rim and the tire itself. So the tire's holding now. It hasn't dropped a PSI since I actually fixed it, but how I fixed it was not really in the conventional way. I ended up putting a bunch of tire plugs and jamming the tire plugs, like the long tire plugs that you'd put on the end of that tool. Anyway, I just kept jamming them up and around the rim, and then managed to get a solid enough seal to keep the air in there. But isn't this a cool little spot? I really like it. There's a little lake off to the right-hand side, and they got a little deck area, and there's a bunch of bunks inside, so yeah, it was really neat. That's a lot of work hauling that much material in and out in order to build a cabin like that. Hunting camp. See me kick the tire a couple times. That's after I fixed it. And yeah, you could definitely see that. I just paused the video there just to show you. Right around where my finger was pointing, you'll see that black plug. You can go back and look at it yourself again, but I had a bunch of those black tire plugs just stuffed in between.
Well, hopefully this tire's gonna last the way home. As you seen in that last clip, I was checking out the side of the tire because I rolled the tire off the rim coming in here, which put a bunch of pebbles and crap and dirt and water inside between the rim and the tire. I've done that before, but not to that severity. So So I could not get it to seal because I'm going to have to break down this tire when I get home and actually take it maybe right off and clean up the tire and the rim to create that better seal. But right now I got 3 tire plugs stuffed in between the rim and the tire, and hopefully it's going to seal.
So yeah, that whole monologue that I did before I remembered that I put this in here. Yeah. Really wasn't necessary. And as you can see here, a nice rain-free day. Well, not rain-free. It rained when we got into the woods, and as on our way out, it started to rain again. But it wasn't too bad. We ended up getting some showers. Yeah, whatever. Like I say, if you can't go ATVing in the rain, might as well sell the bike, maybe? I don't know. There's a bunch of fair weather riders, and I'm sure when I get to be the age where I'm old and crotchety that I'll get to only ride in the nice weather. That Arctic Cat there's a homemade front and rear bumper. Man, that thing's like a cow catcher. Cow catcher in the front and a tree pusher in the rear. So we are actually coming up to the end of this run. I would like to thank everybody for joining me on this one. And it's about 11 o'clock at night here, and never mind my muffled speech or screwed up speech, because I'm pretty tired anyway. It's like October 28th by the time I'm actually getting around to do this. Anyway, busy week. But anyway, I appreciate everybody's likes, comments, views, and if you like these types of videos, do please subscribe, and we'll see you guys out in the next run. Thanks again. Ride Guy out.